So today we're going to be diving into how to streamline the process of auditing your coders with MDaudit Enterprise. Let's start out with some introductions. My name is Cheryl, I'm the Director of Communications here, and I'm joined today by Dana Finnegan, a product expert at Hayes. We only have about 30 minutes together, so if you like what you see and you want to see more, we encourage you to request a custom demonstration using the chat window or requesting it on our website. Before we show you the platform itself, I would like to tell you a little bit more about how it works. MDaudit is a modular solution, so you can choose which components of the platform make the most sense for your business. MDaudit Enterprise ingests your pre-bill or post-bill claims and remit data automatically. And you can use data from both providers and hospitals. Once it's ingested, it's used in a few different functions. The auditing workflow is the main engine and provides workflow solutions for auditors, billing compliance, and HIM. These workflows allow staff to audit E&M charges, inpatient services, coder performance, assess risk, and create overviews of the findings. Charges can be reviewed either pre or post-claim submission, allowing organizations to do both prospective and retrospective audits. Charge Analyzer provides insights and anomaly detection through dashboards and reports that allow all the departments using MDaudit to provide advanced analytics and feedback to the providers and coders to help improve documentation. And our Revenue Optimizer focuses on providing denials, insights, and identifying opportunities to avoid future denials. And the real goal of all the modules is to identify anomalies and problems and provide the reporting and insights to educate and enable corrective action, all leading to a healthier revenue cycle. MDaudit Enterprise impacts the revenue cycle in a few places. It enables prospective auditing to allow auditors to catch billing or coding errors before the claim is submitted to help speed up reimbursement and improve your cash flow. You can use MDaudit to gain insights into the reasons for denials, allowing you to avoid them moving forward. The retrospective auditing tool allows you to take a risk-intelligent approach to auditing to be more efficient and effective. And most importantly, MDaudit Enterprise allows you to identify areas of compliance and revenue risk and provides tools to help educate to enable improvement moving forward. And the one last thing I want to mention before we take a look at the product is the technology platform. We are data experts, which means not only do we know how to get the data you need quickly, we're also able to do it securely. Users of MDaudit no longer need to wait for files to be pulled. The data is automatically ingested regularly. MDaudit can use both provider and hospital data, and with our optimized cloud-based technology, you're able to access it instantly and securely. But you don't just have to take our word for it. MDaudit Enterprise is high trust certified, proving that we have met key regulations and industry-defined requirements. So let's dive in.
Thanks, Cheryl. Hey, folks. So it is nice to be with you today. What we're going to do today really is, as Cheryl said, talk about the coder workflow and the reporting that accompanies that. I think before we start getting into the platform, the goal we want to do today is really show you how MDaudit Enterprise can really engender healthy dialogues between auditor and coder. So resolution can happen and claims can go out, charges can go out with the highest level of accuracy and integrity, but also where you're maximizing those reimbursements. So I'm going to take a look at this audit I've created for Jane Smith. We're going to go into that and really show you how we do it. So the first piece, Cheryl touched upon this, but I want to really hammer it home, is when you're creating an audit here, one of the things that you'll be able to choose is a data source. This is a little grayed out, but I have a retrospective data source here, which means I'm going to look at claims that were coded by Jane. But we have every ability to flip that data source to prospective. So you can do pre-bill prospective audits of Jane's coding as well, which, every day is becoming more important to get those claims to go out appropriately the first time. So just a little on that data source. Where I want to concentrate, though, is a big piece of creating these audits in MDaudit. This is really your auditing canvas. I've put in some dates of service of the time that I want this audit to run for. And then I've chosen a claim type of hospital. We also have every ability to do pro fee coder audits, but today we're going to concentrate on hospital. That's going to be for both inpatient and outpatient coder audits. And then what I've done after I've chosen my claim type is I've created a rule. The rules are very simple to build. These drop downs will represent everything and anything that can be billed on a facility or pro fee claim. I've happened to create one that's fairly straightforward, where I said, show me all DRGs that are in this list. And I've listed my sepsis related DRGs because I know that's something the OIG is scrutinizing quite a bit. And I also wanted to see when they were billed to a primary payer type equal to Medicare Part A. I decided to scrutinize sepsis, but on the MDaudit platform, you could also just choose the ability to audit a coder by their name or ID. So that's another way to do it. I just wanted to take a look at sepsis. And I did want to talk about how the system, MDaudit Enterprise, can match up the claims with who actually coded them through its intelligence. So I've really put this as my rule. And once I've stated my rule, I'm going to hit these arrows. And what the system's doing as it's churning like this, those arrows are churning, is it's going into our database and finding every claim that meets the criteria you have stated. So it's found 1,900. You're going to be able to put in a sample size of whatever you want that to be. I chose 10. Our system is able to have a very similar algorithm to how RatStats does their randomization. So you'll truly get a random sample. You can see that's automating your process, really, really happening fast, getting you right into this screen where you're going to be given your claim list. And what I like about this is you can set this up however you want. I'm actually going to open this up and I'm going to make one change here. And what you're going to see is I've got all of my MRNs, my DRGs, and who's coded them. Now, I can see here that the same coder has coded all of these sepsis cases. Again, MDaudit has every ability to match up the claims with who coded them. So now I'm going to go into one of these claims, and I'm going to append an audit evaluation of how this coder performed. And then we're going to get that over to the coder so they can do a full review and rebuttal. So just to familiarize you a little bit with this screen, I know you've all seen the claim form, but I have all of my diagnosis codes over here. Our CCs and MCCs or HCCs have visual indicators if you want to focus right on those because of their importance and complexity. I've got my DRG here, admitting diagnosis, and of course, everything at that revenue code line level, including units and charges. And I always get asked, can I audit other stuff? Yes, so you can audit the admit source, discharge status, admit type, whatever you want it to be. And as I said, that's the claim that you're looking at. And if I go to that extra fields, MDaudit is able to go into any system those coders are working in and identify who coded this claim. A lot of technical underpinnings there, but we've really mastered the ability to do that. So you can do some really streamlined coder audits. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my audit. I'm just going to go in and say that I agree with all of these diagnosis codes. So I'm going to scroll down and hit agree all. Whatever you have to audit and you agree with, you can just do a quick point and click and say you agree. It will turn green. But now I'm going to disagree with a couple of things because I want that to go to the coder for a review and rebuttal. I'm going to go in and edit this diagnosis code. And what I'm going to get is the billed value. In this today, this is the coded value. So E44.0. I'm going to go in and make a change to E44.1. I, as the auditor, am putting in the supported value. I'm then going to put in an audit finding. This is a drop-down list we can start you off with, but you can customize your own. So I'm going to say disagree. And then I'm going to, in this comment section, this becomes incredibly important because this is exactly what you're going to be sending to the coder for their review. So there's every ability to type as much as you want in here to describe why you have made that change. And if you don't want to always be typing it in, we have a comment library that has been built where you could go in and say, please review coder. please review, Jane, the diagnosis was not documented. And you can just put it in there and add it, and it's going to save you that typing time. But essentially, I've gone and I've disagreed with that diagnosis code. I've changed it to what I want it to be, and now the system is going to send it off to the coder for review. Before I do that, though, I'm going to make one more big change. I'm going to say that this 871 is telling me there was not a mechanical vent, but I'm going to go in and make a change and say, you know what, a vent was indeed used. And in this case, my audit finding, to be really specific, would be a potential underpayment. And I'm also going to say, please review, a vent was used for 98 hours. Now, your dialogue will be a lot more robust, but this is for illustrative purposes. And I'm going to save that. Now I know that I want this to go off to the coder for them to review. Now, this is just one claim. We're going to pretend we did a sample size of 10. And what the system will do is take all 10 claims, aggregate all of the disagreements, and send those to the coder, to their organizational email, so they can do a review and rebuttal. And I'm going to show you that part in a moment. Just wanted to say, if you do 10 claims or 20 claims, the system is smart enough not to send 20 emails to the coder. It's going to aggregate it into one nice email. And I'm going to show you that right now. One last thing is, not only will MDaudit track the coding changes you're making, as you're seeing here, but will also calculate the payment integrity. So when that was originally coded without event, it paid $13,000. But when you made a change to with event, the supported payment was actually $44,000, a huge difference. So it will calculate both your overpayments and underpayments as that becomes so incredibly important. So now I'm ready for that next step. So what I'm going to do is hit the completed status. And the system will now tell me, as the auditor, send me an alert. It's just saying, do you want this claim to go to the coder for review? And I absolutely do. So I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to save and close this case. Now, what's nice is the coder. I'm now going to act as the coder. And what the coder is able to do is actually go into their email, and they're going to receive a link. And that link is going to have the nice MDaudit banner, and it's going to just let them know that there's a bunch of claims that they've coded that need to be reviewed for just general review and rebuttal. So they can click on this link, and it's going to automatically bring them to their coder review dashboard. And you can see here, it's going to show them coder of, you were audited, Jane, or reviewed. It's going to tell her she has 2 findings to review. That means that she knows she has to do a review and rebuttal of 2 things. It's also going to give a due date. So I'm going to go into this and kind of show you exactly what they're going to see. We're going to concentrate down here. It will give them the account number, service dates, MRN, other information. But the coder is going to be able to immediately review the findings. And it's going to show them not only with what you agreed with, which isn't so important, but what you disagreed with. And here we go. It's going to then present to them and say, look, you coded a 99.81. Auditor changed it to a 99.89. Auditor said, I disagree. And any of that commentary that we talked about that you will put, they're going to be able to see. And you said, please review based on the documentation. This is the most appropriate diagnosis code. And then this is where they coded an 871. You changed it to 870 and basically told them event was indeed used for the appropriate amount of time. So now the coder has every ability, after reading your evaluation, to either give it a green thumbs up and agree, or give it a red thumbs down and disagree. So just again, for illustrative purposes, I'm going to agree with the first change and disagree with the second. So when I say, as the coder, I agree, it will launch me here if I want to put in any comments. Now, agreement is self-explanatory, but I'm just going to say I agree. But you don't have to put a comment if there's an agreement. Coder doesn't have to do that. But what they're going to see next is a next button. There's something else that they have to go in and review and rebut. So I'm going to hit next. And that's where we talked about it. 871 was changed to 870. and auditor saying event was used. This time, I'm just going to do a simple, I disagree. I still disagree. Event was used for 92 hours. Didn't meet the 96-hour threshold. So now before I save and close this, let's say we had done 3 more claims. Coder could still hit the next button. It would go on to the next thing they needed to review and rebut. So it will continue to bring them if you had done several claims. And again, it's all amassed into one email. So now I'm ready. I'm ready as the coder to send this back to the auditor. So I'm going to hit save and close. And then I can look at it one more time as the coder. Okay, let's see. I agreed with that change and I disagreed with that one. I'm going to stand behind it and I'm going to hit coder review complete. One last little warning. Do you really want this to go to the auditor? And I do. So I'm going to hit OK. And they'll have a blank screen. It's basically saying you've done all of your review and it has gone back to the auditor. Now, MDaudit is working in the background, understanding when things need to go to coder and back to auditor. That's the intelligence of the system. You don't have to worry about that. But now I'm going to go in and play the final part of the auditor. I now have a status. Status is going to tell me what's being reviewed by the coder. But more importantly, where the coder has completed their review. So I'm going to go into that because I know they've gotten back to me and I want to see what they have to say. And we're going to come to this screen again, where you agreed with diagnosis codes, but you disagreed with this one. The green call out bubble is going to just tell you right away they agreed with you. Green is a friendly color on MDaudit Enterprise. So you don't really need to look at that one. But red is going to represent there's still a disagreement here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a look at what they had to say and also see the full dialogue. So 871 coded by coder, auditor changes to 870. And I said, hey, Jane, please review. I made some changes based on the documentation. I know right away with the red thumbs down, there's a disagreement. And Jane came back and says, I do not agree. That was only used for 88 hours. So now what I can do as the auditor is if I want to go back and still have some dialogue about why I disagree or whatever I want to say, I can go back in and hit reply and put in some more commentary. Or I can actually go in and say, you know what, based on what Jane sent back to me, this is truly an 871, and I'm going to agree with Jane. One other thing I'll talk about this whole process is, and I didn't show this today, but there is every ability to attach documentation into this back and forth dialogue. So if you need to send anything, there's a function to send documentation back and forth. So folks, that is an extremely high level of what the platform can do. But what we wanted you to take away from it is the ability to engender a healthy dialogue between the two parties. So resolution for these claims and charges can happen. There is an escalation process as well. If you can't come to resolution, there's a way to escalate this to supervisors of those coders or your audit manager, whoever it may be. So there's every ability to escalate. Again, case status is incredibly important. It'll let you know what's new, but also where it stands with the coder. So that is a very high level of the workflow that will automate your process, get you off of spreadsheets, get you off of a million emails, and have it all tracked in the system. A couple of things I want to show is post audits. So let's say you're doing hundreds of coder audits. There's a nice mechanism here. You can see here it says coder audits. You're able to go in and click coder audits, and the system's always running in the background. MDaudit Enterprise is always running in the background, and it's tracking all of your audits. So here is the coders' names, and here's the primary auditors who are auditing. But it will show your status, anything that's completed, the overall outcomes, what was their accuracy rates, is the next audit required for those coders, and if so, the date. So everything you're doing, you're able to come to a certain vantage point like this and see who's got a good outcome, who has a bad outcome, When do I need to audit them next? There's even a column where MDaudit will track risk areas for coders. Risk areas could be, there seems to be a pattern of undercoding for DRG this or revenue code that, whatever it may be. It can even link you to their risk area. And I don't know what this one is, but I'm going to just click it. And this is telling me that this coder is a risk area because, oh, they're a new coder. So that's another feature. MDaudit can point out who your newly coding coders are, because you're going to want to audit them fairly quickly to make sure they're doing the right thing. So there's also a lot of vantage points to see the big picture. That's kind of base level, seeing the big picture, but then we also have some really sophisticated data visualizations, and they're going to exist again on the pro fee side, inpatient, outpatient. Let's go into inpatient. And what this is really going to do is look at all the coder audits you're doing, and it's going to provide, as it says, insights into them. And I can select to see all of these data visualizations below by coder group. Maybe it's the coders for vascular surgery. I can do it individually by coder name or ID. But what it's going to do is look and say, hey, here's the top 10 DRGs as the auditor that you're disagreeing with. And here's DRGs with the highest underpayments and overpayments. And all the way down to diagnosis codes where you're struggling, where the coders may be struggling in procedures. And what you'll be able to do with all of these data visualizations is very easily go into them and drill down to the coder group that may be responsible. Is it vascular surgery? The coder name, is it Dana Finnegan, or maybe their ID? So very sophisticated data visualizations as well that will point out, not, really unearth what you're finding in the root cause, relating again directly back to coders. This isn't a witch hunt. It's just so you can get there and educate them so they're doing the right thing going forward in maximizing revenues. And finally, we also have executive level. That was kind of more in the weeds, but executive level. So this one will bring it up a level and provide overall accuracy rates. And you can see here, it's tracking over the last 6 months for your coders, their accuracy rates. So DRGs, POAs, diagnoses. Hopefully, you're going to see a lot of green for agree, but the same deal where there's an issue in accuracy and integrity and diagnosis, you can actually drill down to not only, facility, but again, back to those core root causes. What coder or coders was it? So very sophisticated data visualizations that'll help you improve your coders' accuracy and integrity. And finally, I have this on my desktop, but if you want to send out, any type of reports, there's also many ad hoc reports that can be run where you can look at, here's my audit period, here are the coders I audited, here's their accuracy rates. And, you can highlight all those ones below 90 or whatever your threshold is a next audit required, and the dates. So you're not only, having a workflow that'll support you, but a lot of reporting mechanisms to give you the big picture to make things right in the program in auditing your coders. So a lot more we could show you, but we're at time and I want to save some time for questions, but thank you for taking a look at this, and we're more than happy to show it to you in greater detail if you'd like. Right now, I'm just going to unshare my screen and pass it over to Cheryl.
Great. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit with us. We do have some time for questions, so you can send those in to us by clicking the Q&A button on your Zoom toolbar. Just type in your question and send it to everybody. If that's not working, there's always the chat window. Since we have gone through the demonstration, if you guys needed to drop and move on, we've kind of gone through the bulk of our information. Like Dana mentioned, this was a very high level demonstration. If you want to have something that's a little bit more customized to your organization that really digs into the types of situations that you have, we'd be more than happy to get that scheduled. You can either send us a chat message here or you can request a demonstration on our website. So let's see, for questions. Dana, question we got. Will MDaudit functionality be able to assist in compliantly billing split or shared visits with the recent 2022 CMS changes in the new related FS modifier? If yes,
Yeah.
how?
Yes. So MDaudit, that case search, and I'll just explain it really quick. When I went in and I actually said, show me all DRGs that were sepsis related that were billed to Medicare Part A, that case search absolutely allows you to identify split shared visits. And you can also say, show me when the FS modifier was billed. And in all of those, it will immediately pull and identify split shared visits with FS modifier, and it will show you who coded them. So you can definitely use that same technology to go in and identify that very specific use case via the case search.
Good. Another question, if I wanted to do a focused audit on a particular procedure code, do I have to agree or disagree with all of the codes for the encounter, or can I choose to agree or disagree with only the focused code?
Yeah, so if you got a massive inpatient bill in front of you and it's got a million different fields, you are only required to audit what you want to. So if there's a very specific field like the PX code, the diagnosis code, the POA, and that's all you need to audit, that's all you have to audit, and MDaudit will work exactly the same way. There's no, you don't have to audit everything on the bill, just what you are mandated to audit through your program.
Great. Another question, can I audit by coder specialty?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I meant to mention that. So I was doing individual coder by their name of their ID or who coded sepsis cases, but there's an absolute ability to pull in, show me all of my coders that have coded for vascular surgery or hem-onc or anesthesia, whatever it may be. You can definitely do it by specialty. We call it coder groups, but yes, it's the same thing.
Great. Are you seeing more retrospective or prospective audits of coders?
Actually, probably about a year and a half ago, when we really started showing, what we could do, is we saw a lot of folks doing retrospective coder audits, but now we're seeing a blend of retrospective and prospective. We're seeing more of a migration towards prospective because of the benefits of being able to audit pre-bill charges, but also that healthy balance of not holding up billing too much, particularly on the inpatient side where dollars are very high. But we are seeing a big shift towards prospective coder audits.
Great. One more question, I think, and then we're probably done for time today. Does this workflow work with all EHRs and billing systems?
Yeah, so whether you're on Epic, Cerner, Allscripts, IDX, or other ones, this is going to work with all of them. MDaudit has the intelligence to work with any and all billing systems.
Great. Well, I think that's it for today. I want to thank everybody for joining us. You will get an email from me within probably 24 hours that has a link to the recording, and you're always welcome to reply back to that if you have any questions at all that we did not get to, or give us a call or request a demo on the website. Thank you, Dana. That was really great, and hope everybody had a good day.